Welcome to the Wisdom Coalition podcast. I'm Nancy Wertine.
And I'm Kim Howard.
And it's time for you to improve your mindset so you can be more positive and have more joy. Well, we want to say hello today to our listeners in the UK. Now, I read an interesting report that said that British people consume 100 to 160 million cups of tea every day, which is about 36 million every year.
No,
but,
billion.
Oh, billion,
right?
billion. Yeah.
I was
I'm
just
sorry.
going to say.
You know me in math. Ridiculous. 36 billion. And the difference from most of the countries around the world is that almost all the tea drinkers in the UK, 98%, add milk to their cup of tea. We like to talk about different fun facts. And today is going to be a really interesting podcast on this idea of being able to flip our thinking. I think you and I call that reframing.
Changing those negative things in our lives and finding the positive.
So we want to talk about this today. Our guest is a life coach, an author, and a speaker. He is Rob Cross, who has written a book called Flip Your Thinking to Ignite Your World. He reveals simple and highly effective ways to flip how we think to restore hope and to transform how we approach life. Thank you so much for joining us, Rob.
Good morning, ladies. Well, I've learned already that I need to flip my tea and put some milk in it. I didn't know we're supposed to do that.
That's right.
Only in the UK.
Well, they're happy folks over there, so I guess there must be something to that milk.
That's right. That's the problem. We all need to put more milk in our tea. So we're so excited to have you with us today. And, we really love this idea of flipping our thinking. So can you tell us, how you discovered this power?
I started my first business at age 20. I realized after my first couple of businesses, I've had several businesses throughout my career, but the first couple of them were relatively mediocre. Just couldn't seem to get past that certain level. I was frustrated because I don't like mediocre. I love excellence. And throughout the years, I've had several episodes like these epiphanies, these breakthroughs where I recognize that I've been holding myself hostage with my thinking. For me, the word flip, I recognize that, by golly, I was doing just the opposite kind of thinking that kept pushing away the very things I wanted. I saw that in many areas of my life, especially my business. So many of your listeners are telling themselves a story like I told myself. Hey, I came from a lower middle class family. So that's where I'm supposed to be. That's where I belong. It's my cozy slippers. It's my comfort zone. And also, I got a message when I was very young that money is scarce. And, we don't know where we get these things, but, as children, we do hear these things that we don't even realize we heard until later on in adult years, we recognize that we're fighting getting what we want. And I'm so excited about my book. I'm so humbled by the feedback because everybody's like, oh my gosh, this is really a breakthrough in helping us get back to common sense. God created us all with the ability, factory installed, to have the life that we want and to succeed and to just be tremendous. But yet we're standing in our own way. I recognized it later in years that I really have been holding myself back. I told myself a story that I don't belong with money. I know it sounds crazy, but so many folks think that, and they don't even know they think it. But if you can stop and do something that we rarely think about, and that is think about your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about clarity when you really be still and you go back and you recognize what belief or what story that you've been telling yourself. Soon I'll be releasing my third book. I wasn't an author, never was. You know why? Because I told myself I wasn't. That was the story I told myself all of my life. I came from a family who had no authors. I hated English class. My best friend in college was Cliff Notes. It was I just didn't like it at all. Guess what? I changed my story, and now I am because I said I am. I'm so delighted to tell you this message.
We are excited to hear this message because it's a lot of what we talk about with positive psychology. But you've said that people get stuck in a rut because of what we make things mean in our minds, which is what you've been talking about. So how do we identify these things that we're making up, these stories that we're making up? How do we sort of find them and identify them?
Isn't that tricky? Because it's like you asking a fish, what is water? It's like, well, it's all it's ever known, right? Yeah. And what are your meanings? What are your beliefs? Gosh, I don't know. I've asked many married people, what makes your marriage work? They don't know. And they just don't think about it.
Mm.
My suggestion, a good place to start, is to look at your life and tell me, is everything great? Is your business great? Is your marriage great? Is your parenting great? Is your joy great? Is your sense of fulfillment great? If not, why? And that right there will point the arrow to a story that you're telling yourself, because I promise you, you're holding yourself back. You hold yourself back by what you're telling yourself. Gosh, I've had a business crash, and a setback, I can tell myself all day long that it's a setback. And if I tell myself that, it is a setback, right? And I treat it like a setback. I have thoughts that are setback thoughts, which take me to setback choices, which is disengagement. It takes me to setback behavior, which takes me to setback experiences. I'm telling you, you are what you think. That's for sure. So how to recognize it? I suggest it really has a lot to do with just looking at what parts of your life are not working and own it. You've got to get off of blame. And that's where most of us are stuck in the rut. Even if your marriage is not what it wants to be, take 100% ownership of it. And I'm telling you, if you don't, it's like giving them the remote control of your life and they've got you on pause. I want you to move. I want you to soar to the things you want. And you start by recognizing what's not working, own it, and say, Lord, reveal to me what my story is, and just stay with it. Especially when you first wake up in the morning, that's when you're in your best state. When you can access these things that are hard to access once you start your texting and your emails.
Very true. So I know your book includes what you call flipology. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Flipology, it's the science of flipping. It's when one proclaims, holy cow, you mean life is not going to work out according to my plans? Can you imagine life not going according to your plans? But that's what it is. We all go through, how many times during a day will we feel ourselves with an upset? And my upset and your upset 100% of the time is because life's not working out according to your plans. And of course, he shouldn't have done what he did, or she shouldn't have said what she said, but they did. I'm holding them up against what I believe should have been done. And that's, hence my upset. So flipology is all about absolutely flipping what you make things mean. Your enemies are your teachers. Turn your reacting, flip it into responding. That's a huge one. Oh my gosh, reacting is reacting at our past, but being able to respond is being responsible. It's you're able to engage with rather than cut off. I can talk about that all day. Your weakness is your strength. Forgiveness, oh my goodness, flip it. Some of your listeners may be holding a grudge. I've held a grudge for a long time. And I thought that I was, punishing my grudgee. But while I'm at home nursing my grudgee is out dancing. They don't care. So my forgiveness, I flip it. It has nothing to do with what they did and everything to do with who I am. So in your forgiveness, set yourself free. You've heard the expression, having a grudge is like taking a poison pill and expecting them to die. That's just the way forgiveness works. You were forgiven, so pass it forward. Forgiveness is a beautiful thing to do. It's good for your soul. Get rid of that toxicity. If you want to be heard, talk less. Flip it. Turn down the volume, shorten the words, and you're going to find people are going to listen to you a little more.
These are wonderful pronouncements that you're making, and but I think it's people really struggle sometimes in this arena. So of really, first of all, identifying what they're thinking, finding those stories, and then, excavating them, getting them the heck out to replace them with new stories. Would you have any tips on like how we can sort of go about, finding the courage to persistently do this?
Of course. I want to remind everybody that what I've discovered is that everything is simple. And when we overcomplicate it, that's when we get into trouble. I believe that this life is so simple. The things that matter, love, hope, peace, they're all so simple. And I just want folks I want to encourage them. Listen, I know life feels like it's hard sometimes. It's really not. What we have done to it makes it hard. It's the crust that we built over. It's the habits, the ruts that we've established ourselves into. So, life is a journey back to yourself. That's all it is. Just accept that it's going to be hard, because it is. Because listen, you've spent a lifetime building this little rut that you're in. And some people may say, well, I'm not in a rut. Well, maybe that's a strong word, but listen, it's a pattern. We all have our little patterns and their habits. And to get out of a habit, it's going to be uncomfortable. That's just the way it is. And the discomfort is not anything other than you breaking out of your own story. It's uncomfortable. Anything new is uncomfortable. We're creatures of habits. We love that comfort zone. We like to fluff our pillow and adjust the temperature and just be happy in that. Let's leave the challenges and risks out there. But they're out there, and you got to go through them. Can't go around them. So anyway, my encouragement is to just know that to break a habit, and that's all it is. Recognizing the story you tell yourself. I told myself that my crashed business, man, I'm stuck. I'm sunk. And then I recognized what I was doing. I was going, hang on a second. No, I am going to change the story, and I'm going to tell myself my setback is a set up for something better. And by golly, when I did that, and I recognized the power of my thinking, and the power of all of us, our thinking is powerful. It's like our superpower. When I can tell myself, no, this is a setup for something better, and believe it, then what happens is I start having different thoughts. I start having engaging thoughts. My antenna is up. I'm all ears and eyes. I'm looking for opportunities. I'm engaging with people more. I wasn't doing that when I called it a setback. And I'm just using that as an example. Whenever you need to change your story, it's going to be tough, but you got to be tough. And you are tough. You can do this. Don't be the victim. Don't take the victim's mindset. Go, listen, I'm tired of my thoughts controlling me. I am going to control my thoughts, by golly, and do it. And it's going to be tough. Hey, email me, call me. I'll send you my book for free. I really want folks to get the power of your thought. I send out little flips every Monday morning around the world to my subscribers, just something to encourage you through the week. We all need encouragement and reminding. So does that help on your question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very encouraging.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned control. And I know that you said that, we will find control when we let go of control in our lives. So can you unpack that a little?
I love that one. I was talking to my wife, Frank, about this yesterday. We were exploring it. And I said, Frank, what is the opposite of faith? And faith really is letting go and surrendering. The opposite of faith is control. And we love to be in control. Ever since we were little rugrats, we learned that we got to be in control. My favorite thought about that is I feel most in control when I let go of the things I was trying to control that I could never control. That's what life is. I'm sure you recognize by now, if you're an employer, you can't control your employees. You try. If you have children, you can't control your children. You can try. All you can control is how you respond to your life around you and your circumstances. That's the biggest part of the biggest flip for me is my circumstances are outward evidence of my inward thoughts. And so your control, you'll never control it, my friend. God's always shown us who's in control, right? When he rains on my picnic, he always reminds me, who's not in control. But as long as we feel like we are, we'll never be in control and we'll always resist life. So resisting is what you not want to do in all of your life. You want to stop resisting because, of course, y'all know, you ladies know this stuff inside and out. Whatever you resist persists. It just gets bigger. Whatever you expand on just grows. So expand on really taking the opportunities to notice when you control those little moments where you go, oh, man, I feel it uptight. I feel it in my neck. I feel it. Oh, wait a minute. I need to let go. Letting go is one of the toughest things for us humanoids to do because we love feeling in control, but yet we're never in control, right? So it's a funny topic.
Well, what wonderful advice. Thank you so much. The book is called Flip Your Thinking by Rob Cross. And we thank you so much for your encouraging words and your great advice about how to flip our thinking. Thank you so much for joining us, Rob.
It was such a joy to be with you ladies. And just remember, everybody, you are so much more capable than you think you are. Hey, thank y'all for what you do.
Well, thank you. And thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And until
you make a difference.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you find some joy today.